in Chicago, above average temperature in the 40s, and the sun is shining. Let's head to the field and Laura Oakland.
Hi, Chris. Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky have a pregame ritual they do every game. Mitchell stands next to his coach during the national anthem, and afterwards they hug, and Nagy gives them a pep talk. Today's message, Nagy told me, I told him something I've been saying to myself a lot, but I hadn't told him yet. Be you. He said sometimes Mitchell wants it so bad he puts pressure on himself he doesn't need. So I told him, don't worry about your teammates. Don't worry about the outside noise. I simply want to see you having fun today. Chris?
All right, thank you. And Nagy said that his team has handled every different punch thrown their way. As the Packers come in, kicking off week 15. And coming out of the end zone is Anthony Miller. Deep from his own end zone and stopped short of the 24-yard line. The Packers did win the toss and they deferred. So Mitchell Trubisky coming off one of his worst games of his career, and yet it was a victory because the Bears defense bailed him out against the Rams on Sunday night to get their 9th victory of the season.
And that was an opportunity for Matt Nagy to teach Mitchell Trubisky to understand how important these games are. And if you win, it doesn't matter what the complexion of that game was. There are no style points. Just celebrate, bounce back, your next opportunity.
Full start. Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Call on Charles Leno Jr. as John Hussey, his 4th season as an NFL referee, making the call. And an offense that got a 100-yard performance from Jordan Howard for the first time this season last week in that win against the Rams.
And I think that that's going to be a critical element again today. That run game has to be effective for the Bears. Keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline.
And Jordan Howard carries with a crowd back up across the 22-23-yard line. Kenny Clark is inactive with that elbow injury for the Packers up front, and Clay Matthews saying that with Trubisky, we know he runs around, we're going to try and have him at least force him to try to beat us with his arm in this game, so they have some confidence at least going in, and an improving young secondary for Green Bay.
10, 35.
Second down 10. Trubisky's pass caught, slipping out of a tackle is Allen Robinson. Across midfield and run out of bounds. Pickup of 30 yards.
And watch Jair Alexander, 23, as he steps in. He goes for the deflection, misses that tackle, allows those yards after the catch.
Well, he just beat him with his arm, and Robinson beat him with the catch in his legs. Ball spotted now at the 47 of Green Bay.
10.
First round draft pick from Louisville, Alexander on a gamble. It's Howard. Knocked down right away. Josh Jones coming up from his safety spot, making the play.
I think it's been very admirable, Jordan Howard, this season. This is a guy that's almost 2,500 yards. He's over 2,400 yards rushing his first 2 years in the NFL. And this is a different style of offense under Matt Nagy here. So not as many opportunities, but he's going to be critical as this season wears on for this Bears offense.
Now Tariq Cohen checks in. You see the productivity for Howard since coming into the league 2016 after a loss of 1. Trubisky protected well for Robinson. Catch out of bounds. Josh Jones had good coverage there.
Allen Robinson's got to elevate a little bit for that catch, and it's a nice job by Josh Jones getting over there, getting that contact, forcing him out of bounds before he can get that second foot down.
Tariq Cohen actually came in leading the team in catches, Robinson in receiving yards, but now facing a 3rd down and 11. Spotted at the 48 of the Packers, opening drive for Chicago. Trubisky has been very good in the first quarter. His statistics have been sharp. Blitz is on. He gets the throw out and out of bounds. Had to throw it a little earlier than he planned in the neighborhood, of Allen Robinson. And Trubisky said his shoulder is fine. Remember, last week was the first game back after missing 2 with a shoulder injury, and the punting unit comes out.
And one of the things that you have to learn with this Bears team, because their defense is playing so well right now, getting a nice little drive right there, get some first downs, get out towards midfield. Now rely on your special teams. Let Pat O'Donnell come out and see if you can get the Packers backed up.
Randall Cobb standing inside the 10 for Green Bay. So an initial big play, and the Packer defense tightens up. O'Donnell gets it away. Fair catch called for. Cobb is bumped into, and the ball is down inside the 5. Let's see if they're calling it a touchback. There was a little bit of a collision there as they rule it down inside the 5-yard line. And the Packers will take over on offense.
No penalty for fair catch interference. Actually, Will Redmond, his own teammate, makes the contact. And then again, let's clean this up a little bit. The spot where the ball is first touched by the Bears, the 4-yard line by Deon Bush. Not where it was down a little bit closer.
On first down, Aaron Jones. And he's shoved back. Biggest game in 5 years here at Soldier Field, and the crowd is up to it. Aaron Rodgers comes in with an NFL record, 368 attempts without an interception. Of course, the Bears will tell you they missed one through their hands, Kyle Fuller in that opener, that the Bear players have not forgotten about when a Gimpy Rodgers rallied Green Bay to beat Chicago. Jones again has to struggle to get back to the 8-yard line. Well, the right side of the line aching here. Bulaga is out with a knee injury. Corey Linsley, the center, had missed a snap this year. Over 1,000 consecutive snaps going back to last year. He's been the reliable guy, and Devontae Adams having a Pro Bowl year.
Yeah, good young group of wide receivers right there. We'll see how they perform in a big game atmosphere here at Soldier Field.
3rd and 6. Rodgers completes, and Randall Cobb with a first down up around the 17-yard line.
Good to have him back in the lineup, an option that Aaron Rodgers very comfortable with. We mentioned some of the youth at the wide receiver position, not really having an opportunity to get that chemistry as good as he has with Randall Cobb.
Well, Rodgers, when it comes to Packer playoff hopes, you see, I pay attention to the scores. A number of things that need to go our way have gone our way. Of course, they need to win, although the Vikings have just gone out in front of the Dolphins 7-0. We'll be keeping a close watch on that game after a pickup of 9.
There we go.
Rodgers toss, waiting for a block is Adams, and he doesn't get far. Well, the Bear defense, they lead in takeaways. 25 interceptions, the most in the NFL. And if you're just going by the eye test, the way they're playing, best defense in the league.
It's pretty impressive. Their speed from the inside out with Trevathan and Roquan Smith at the linebacker level. You mentioned the takeaways. They've got 25 interceptions this season. That's the most, and it's done by 11 different players. So everybody buying into that style.
Rodgers is wondering where Khalil Mack is lining up. Aaron Jones carries, is hit hard, but fights to get it back to the 25-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down. Need to get to the 27 for a Green Bay first down.
And one of the things that Joe Philbin really wants this Green Bay offense to do is to have productivity on first down. If you get behind the chains against this defense and get in some long yardage situations, especially with this crowd into it, it's going to be very, very difficult for the offense to function. So they've done a good job here at the start of this first series.
Pressure on Rodgers. He's going down. And that's where Khalil Mack is. His 11th sack of the year.
You've got both. It's an empty backfield, so you've got, look out here, there's Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith together, and you don't have it accounted for. So Lane Taylor goes down inside, doesn't have the time to get back outside. You needed to honor those two rushers coming off the edge.
J.K. Scott standing inside his own 5-yard line, and Tariq Cohen watching this, looking into the sun as that sails out of bounds. The Bears should have good field position. Each team has had the football at offense. So far, scoreless at Soldier Field. And Joe Philbin trying to become the first interim head coach to take a team to the playoffs since the late 70s. And Matt Nagy, already the Bears more wins this season than the previous two combined. From the 40 of Chicago. Both Howard and Cohen in the backfield, and that's Tariq Cohen splitting out as Trubisky drops. And dumps it underneath. It's Howard who's got a first down. Run out of bounds around the 45-46 of Green Bay.
One of the things that Clay Matthews talked to us about, not allowing Mitchell Trubisky to extend plays, and that's exactly what happens right here. It's hard to cover these guys this long as everything breaks down. Watch him move out to his right, extends that play, drops it off to Jordan Howard.
A pickup of 15, and Trubisky said that he wanted a kind of a slow buildup, get in rhythm. He thought he went out of his comfort zone, out of his job description in the Sunday night game against the Rams. Wanted to dial it back, but keep the energy up. Straight ahead is Howard. Blake Martinez, who leads the team in tackles made, one there. And let's get a game break with Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Chris. Dolphins, Vikings, current 6th seed in the NFC. They fired their offensive coordinator this week, and Kirk Cousins to Stephon Diggs for this 13-yard score. Vikings up early, 7-0. Chris Farrell and Laura.
Thank you. Coming into today, some 26 teams in Week 15 still alive in the playoff picture. Mathematical opportunities. Packers fall in that category. And looked like a Bear may have been drawn off.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 94. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Dean Lowry called for that penalty. And it'll move the ball inside Green Bay's 40, spotted at the 38-yard line. Now 2nd and 2. Should be a fun down for a guy like Trubisky.
Yeah, you wonder what's going to come out. Well, yeah, especially with Matt Nagy, and as much fun as he likes to have with his offensive play calling.
No, 50-50. Oh, no. Bear.
Hey, kill. Gotta go. Cali,
Gotta go. Play clock running down. Howard looking for the first down and has it. It's at the 35.
One of the ways you can establish that rhythm is just go with the play that's there that's going to be successful. You heard them at the line with the kill. They're going to flip that, and then they got to hurry up the line, and then you just turn it around. We're waiting on something maybe a little bit more exotic on 2nd and 2. It's just a straight handoff to Jordan Howard. So you're starting to get that rhythm by making first downs.
This already has
Spot.
an old school feel. Taquan Mizell in the backfield. Fake to him. Trubisky completes inside the 25-yard line. And Trey Burton made the grab.
It's just so hard in some of these quick play action passes off those zone read schemes, because your linebackers have to honor it, and they move, and it goes like right back into the vacated area. There goes Blake Martinez. He moves a little bit to his left to honor that run, and here comes your slant route right in behind him.
All right, so we have 3 running backs in. Cohen splits out along with Mizell as receivers.
Yeah, 50.
It's Howard working his way to the 20-yard line and inside that. You know, the When you think of Matt Nagy, and people saw it in prime time, the Bears' creative plays. The paper, Chicago paper, funny today about his creativity. And this is the headline, the Gadget Factory, right? We've had Freezer left and Santa's sleigh, and they have plays they call it the incubator. They throw them in there, and then when they want to pull one out, they do it against the opponent at the right time, and they've worked. The last 3 games, they've been able to pull one off.
Well, you start to have a lot of fun with it. The guys are engaged. You got defensive guys that you're putting on the field in offensive positions. Sometimes
A little too much moving around, maybe?
No, I don't think so. James Daniels has just got to sit in there.
Full start. Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, the rookie Daniels, with help last week, did an excellent job against Aaron Donald.
He did.
Who did not have a sack against the Bears.
And that was one of the things that Matt Nagy noticed about Aaron Donald watching that film is he was a guy on the defensive side of the ball that could make a play that could kind of flip the complexion of the game. So a great job by all 5 guys up front, keeping him under control last week.
10. Yep. 10, 50.
What's that?
Trubisky to Mizell, who's got a blocker in front, knocked down at the 16-yard line by Blake Martinez.
And what this does, it really challenges the defense with their eyes, because you mentioned all that movement, Chris, and you're going to watch, you're going to have a player flash coming across on one of those jet sweeps there. Now you're thinking long trap, and then here comes the screen right where everybody just vacated. So they're going to challenge the Green Bay Packer defenders with their eyes and their rules.
Picked up 9, so they cut into that penalty. Second down 6. Best scoring opportunity for either team in this opening quarter. Just over 3.5 to play. That's Miller in motion in the slot. Trubisky dumps it off to Cohen, who's run out of bounds. Jair Alexander made sure Cohen, who's been crushing it, whatever they ask him to do for a guy 5'6", Cohen seems to come up big.
He's got unique speed. He's got unique change of direction. You know, really critical down here in the red zone as he comes out to get a break here. But this is one of those parts of the field where I think that his skill set is just so hard to defend.
And he's been involved in some of those gadget plays that have worked successfully. Jordan Howard in on 3rd and 1. And Howard plows forward. It'll be 1st and goal for the Bears. Very efficient. And if you do talk about a rhythm and a comfort zone, it seems like Trubisky is in one.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of different people involved in the game plan right here, really stressing the Packers defense with all the different weapons that they have to defend by this Bears offense.
And Trubisky says that's a good thing, that there's no number 1 receiver to have to go to.
No, 27. Hey, 50.
Jordan Howard. That's going to be a Bears touchdown.
Really nice job by Trey Burton and Charles Leno Jr. Watch him cross formation. He's going to get a block, and then watch your tackle go down inside, climb to the 2nd level, and get the block right there. Look at that running lane. And that, again, it's not power. And I don't even want to say it's deception, Chris, but you're just looking at all these different things as they unfold at the snap of the ball.
As Clay Matthews said, sometimes we're chasing stuff, especially the way this Bear offense throws things at you. The extra point from Cody Parkey. Jordan Howard with his 6th rushing touchdown of the season, and the Bears move a little closer to a division title. Darrell Johnson, Chris Myers, Jordan Howard, and the Bears taking advantage of good field position. His 22nd career touchdown. And kicking off, by the way, only 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns in the entire NFL. The last one came here by Cordero Patterson of the Patriots against the Bears. Jamal Williams back. And not a chance to return. Touchback, so Rodgers Brings his team out to the 25-yard line. We mentioned this rivalry, the 198th meeting, the first matchup, 1921. Packers lead 97-94 with 6 ties. They've met twice in the playoffs. That 2010 NFC Championship. Remember Urlacher and Aaron Rodgers? They've combined for 22 NFL championships. Packers have won the last 5 meetings, including the opener that the Bears are still thinking about. Aaron Jones with a few yards. I mentioned they're thinking about it. It was Eddie Jackson who said, you know, it's personal. He gave up that winning touchdown when Rodgers threw it in that Sunday night when he limped back on and the Bears thought they had the game won. He said, I marked this one down. We got something special for Rodgers. And he's a little bothered by the animated Aaron Rodgers, you know, with the fingers out of the holster pistol kind of a thing.
A little 6-gun there on that touchdown. So they play the game 1 week at a time, but some things get stored in the memory bank.
Rodgers to throw. He goes underneath to Jamal Williams, who puts some extra effort in to get a first down up to the 40. And yet you have a defense that leads in interceptions going against a guy in the NFL who owns the record of passes consecutively without a pick. So strength against strength.
Something's got to give in that one. I mean, the Bears with 34 takeaways. The Packers just 8 giveaways offensively. They've had 4 on special teams, but only 8 by that offense. So who wins that turnover battle here this afternoon?
After a pickup of 13 from the 40. Rodgers, 3 out of 3 so far, dumps it off the other way to Williams, who gets a block. Jamal Williams inside the 40 of Chicago. Roquan Smith, who leads the Bears in tackles, eventually brought him down.
Good thing they had the screen on, because watch your right side. Khalil Mack puts a great move on David Bakhtiari, goes upfield and then back under. They've got the right play called, able to get it out quickly. And a good job by the guys out front getting some blocking downfield.
21-yard gain as Williams stays in. We've seen him and Jones in the same backfield at times. Williams, the running game hasn't been able to click against this Bears defense. It's Smith again on the tackle, the first rounder from Georgia, and the opening quarter has come to an end. Looking for something new in an old rivalry. Bears lead it, but the Packers are on the move after 1. It's always heated between these two, but a little more here. A Bears win. They get the NFC North, currently the 3 seed, lock up the playoff spot. And the Packers, the Vikings, are winning. If they lose, the Vikings win, they're eliminated from playoff contention. Start of the second quarter. Rodgers with pressure picked up. He's on the move. And throws incomplete. Good pressure. Aaron Jones, by the way, the team's leading rusher, who we saw in that opening quarter, is now questionable with a knee injury.
And here we go. We got to find Khalil Mack, right? So now he's on this side of the ball. And watch what they do. They're going to bring a blitz as well. So they're trying to isolate him, but you cross the formation with the running back. So one of the things to try and get that one-on-one for Khalil Mack is to add a blitzer so you can't get double teams. Good protection scheme by the Packers right there to make sure they could get 2 guys on that right side.
Rodgers on 3rd and 10. He is smothered. Give Mack and Bilal Nichols, the rookie, credit.
We saw in that first series against this offense, he was predominantly on the defensive right side going against Bakhtiari. Now he's moved over here. Watch just the strength. Now you've got to go one-on-one with him every once in a while, and that's when you've got to have a play dialed in where that ball can come out a little bit quicker. Tough for Jason Spriggs out there one-on-one against that speed power of Khalil Mack.
Already second sack of the game for the Bears defense. Scott back to punt on 4th and 18. And Mack has been involved in both. Fair catch called for. inside the 10. See the Bears on offense leading 7-0 after Khalil Mack was hungry for a sack. Well, Daryl, you talked about the injuries on that offensive line. These are the inactives today for the Packers, and moving Khalil Mack around, already credited with a sack and a half. Remember, he was a force in the opener at Green Bay with an interception return, a sack, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. On first down from inside their own 10, Cohen is knocked back at the 5 and will lose yardage. Bashaud Breeland came up from his corner spot.
Nice defensive call by Mike Pettine. You're going to have that blitz coming right in exactly where this run is designed to go. Clog up the middle. Here comes Bashaud Breeland off the edge. Knocked his mouthpiece out.
2nd and 13.
Hey, 4.
Mike Pettine, the Packers defensive coordinator in his first year with the team. After a loss of 3, 4 out of 4 so far. Pass is complete to Gabriel. Short of the first down. Trubisky starts the drive with 4 in a row, I should say, and now that's 5 straight.
We talked about getting off to that rhythmic start, and you can see right there, 5 of 7, 68 yards. His location has been good so far. You know, when he gets excited and he gets amped up, sometimes that ball will sail a little bit on him. He's been really good with his location so far here at the start of the game.
Now look at this. Remember, they started the season with a T formation. They've got Cohen and Howard in the backfield. Trubisky looked like that might have been deflected or at least redirected, trying to get the ball to Cohen.
Now it looks like Reggie Gilbert coming off the edge gets just enough of that to affect the throw.
Yeah, the rough throws Sunday night for Trubisky. He said, I went back, looked at every one of them. They were all correctable. But a big defensive play there by Pettine's defense. And this should give Green Bay excellent field position. Randall Cobb is back to receive the punt. Pat O'Donnell standing at the Bears 2. Cobb waving everybody away, and it hits and goes out of bounds. We'll check the exact spot. Should be up around the Packer 40 or so. Well, this already has the feel of one of those old down in the dirt gladiator kind of matchups. Bears and Packers continue. Since '92, 55th meeting between the Bears and Packers. And look at, in that time, the Packers only used 3 different starting quarterbacks. Favre, Rodgers, once it was Brett Hundley. The Bears with all the other 19 different starting quarterbacks. Trubisky, the guy today, and was when they met each other to start the season. And Rodgers has been comfortable here. Fakes to Williams, dumps it off, and tackled right away. Lance Kendricks after that 44-yard punt without a return. This is the best field position for Green Bay today. They have started previously at their own 4 and their own 25-yard line. Yeah, that field position game is big. It's one of the things that Matt Nagy said he learned in that Rams game is how important sometimes field position can become. Joe Philbin, a little bit old school. He's going to know how to play that, and did a nice job kind of weathering the storm there in the first quarter to get this opportunity here at the 40. There comes a flag. And the Packers.
Full start. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
You know, it's interesting, Joe Philbin, you know, you hear coaches, they always talk, oh, 3rd down, we got to improve on 3rd down. He said that 1st down against this Bears defense, that's our priority, because that makes the difference. Obviously, when you're going against the defense, it will take it away if you're in 2nd and long or 3rd and 20.
Anytime you get into an obvious passing situation against this defense, you're in trouble.
On 2nd and 13, a delay to Williams. And he gets some of that back up to the 43 again. Aaron Jones is out with a knee injury at the moment and considered questionable. Now, Joe Philbin, who 10th season with the Packers, had been a play caller, was with them when they won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. he said he sends the play in quickly and then lets his veteran quarterback take over from there.
You might as well use the experience that you have with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. He's seen just about everything a coordinator can throw at you, and he said he simplified it as well. It's got clearer defined roles for all the different guys in the offense that they can focus on during the course of the week.
Mack lined up against Spriggs. Rodgers protected and delivers a dart, and a first down at the 44. Davante Adams makes the catch.
Having a great year. Davante Adams on the outside. Nice release. Presses it up that stem. That's where you get the separation. You can see him on that break. Prince Amukamara just a little bit slow following him.
Booty, 5-9.
Pick up a 13 yards.
Set hot. 319.
It's Williams to the 40. Second-year runner from Brigham Young was drafted in the 4th round. With Aaron Jones out, their leading rusher, Darrell, how does that affect things? Because they only have Danny Vitale fullback on the roster. In terms of running backs, I guess you can put Cobb back there if you need to.
Yeah, you just got to be careful with your numbers. But Jamal Williams is going to be an effective runner in the backfield. I think when we talked to the guys with the Bears on defense, they had respect for both Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. They felt it was a very underrated running game, and it's something that they saw last week with Joe Philbin commit to a little bit more at that time.
And Williams, as a rookie last year, led the Packers in rushing. He's played in all 13 games. He started the first 5, but then Aaron Jones took over. Now he's carrying the load. 2nd and 4. Rodgers dumps it off. That's Kendricks. And Lance Kendricks has a first down. Inside the 25, staying in bounds.
Nice job right there. You've got somebody open, just take him real quick. Just a flat route to Lance Kendricks, but watch the job that he does after the catch. And you think, Kyle Fuller maybe going for kind of a little strip right there, trying to get that football out. You got to secure that tackle first.
The tight end position, one that, as Rodgers appreciates the effort, could be in flux after this season. Graham still battling that thumb injury. They picked up 16. Randall Cobb has it in the clear and runs out of bounds. Eddie Jackson was over there.
Eddie Jackson, he's having a great year. And sometimes people get focused on the big plays, the splash plays with the interceptions and the touchdowns that he's had. But you watch him on every snap, and he is just really, really sound in his coverage.
Playing at a Pro Bowl level. And his 5 touchdowns since 2017, among the best all time, as Williams remains the back here after a 5-yard pickup. And Williams is thrown to the ground. Aaron Lynch came in. It looked like he was unblocked.
Yeah, you wonder what happened on this one. He's standing up right there. Kind of hard to miss a guy that big. And you go down to throw that cut block, Danny Vitale. You got to keep your head up. He ducked inside on him and left him free to the backfield.
At 6'6". Looks like the Packers, they got to the line in a hurry, wanted to snap it, then made a late substitution, so then the defense was allowed a substitution. Play clock running down on 3rd and 9. Rodgers floating one and incomplete. Trying to get to Equanimous St. Brown, who went to the ground.
You've got a safety in the middle of the field, so you can't bend it all the way. Once you get on top, you can't bend in there, so he's got to keep it a little bit vertical, and it looked like Aaron Rodgers wanted him to come a little bit more inside. You'll see Adrian Amos come into the picture right there.
Missed opportunity, so Mason Crosby will line up for a field goal try from 41 yards away. And Green Bay gets on the board. The drive stalls, but they take advantage of good field position. Now Trubisky will take over with a 4-point lead. Aaron Rodgers, 8 out of 10 so far in the game. And taking advantage, it took about 5 minutes, drive of almost 40 yards before Crosby nailed the field goal, and he'll be kicking off. Anthony Miller standing deep in the Bears end zone. Jordan Howard with a touchdown run, and then the Packers answer with 3. And here comes Miller. And knocked down at the 22 to Laura.
We talked earlier, Chris, about how much pressure this young quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, puts on himself, and that's the one thing Matt Nagy told him today. Have fun. I talked to Mitchell about this, and he said, I never want to let anyone down. And the way I felt like I played last week, I felt like I let a lot of people down. He said he talked to a lot of teammates and coaches this week, everybody in the quarterback room. He said, I had 3 coaches, including Nagy, 2 quarterbacks, all of them supporting me, telling me the same thing. Don't be afraid to lean on others. You do not have all the answers. Use your support system and enjoy this process, which is what they keep telling him.
Trubisky 6 out of 9 so far, and you see he's gotten the football to 6 different players. Howard. Seems like both of these, it's kind of a slow dance, Daryl, in terms of these two teams playing a little bit, I don't want to say under control or less aggressive, but a little more calculated maybe.
Yeah, it's a division rivalry, and even though interim coach Joe Philbin is maybe approaching it a little bit different than we've seen the Packers do under Mike McCarthy for his entire tenure, and then Matt Nagy, obviously brand new his first year here. So there's still a little bit of a filling out process between both of these teams, even though they're division rivals with all the changes.
And they do seem so different from the start of the season. Trubisky, there's a flag down and incomplete. Flag is back in the area of the quarterback. Robinson was the target.
Holding. Offense, number 65. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
The call on the center. Let's get a game break. Say hi to Kurt Menefee. Kurt.
Hello, Chris Myers, and say hello to another touchdown run by Josh Allen. His 6th on the season. His legs are what's keeping the Bills in this all season long. He's exciting to watch, and they lead it over the Lions by a point in the second quarter.
All right, thank you very much. The Vikings now have a 21-0 lead at home against the Dolphins. As you see, the Bears' fewest holding penalties this season, but got caught there. Trubisky's throw is on target, and Allen Robinson slips another tackle, and he's got a first down.
We've seen this a couple times already today, some missed tackles by both teams. And this time it's going to be Josh Jackson coming up and just kind of throwing a forearm, not wrapping up. And watch as he comes in on this first hit. It can't just be contact. It's got to be wrapped up.
Overcoming the penalty, they pick up 19. Tariq Cohen run out of bounds.
One of those guys that really challenges your defense from sideline to sideline. His speed and quickness. You talk about the power running game of Jordan Howard inside that's downhill, and then the speed and the plays that you can call with Tariq Cohen going from side to side. That makes it hard on a defense.
So far, the ball control. Look at that, 20 plays each. Allen Robinson with a couple of big catches so far for Chicago. On 2nd and 10. Timeout. And the Bears use their first.
Charge timeout, Chicago.
And now this from Bose. Matt Nagy trying to win his 10th game. It would be the most by a Bears first-year head coach since George Halas in 1920. Trubisky with pressure coming. He avoids it and heads upfield, knocked down at the 36. It'll bring a third down. Need to get to the 43 for a first down.
Really good feel by Mitchell Trubisky to sense this pressure coming in from his right side. As he drops back, everything's kind of firmed up front, but Reggie Gilbert beats Bobby Massey around the edge and forces him to step up in the pocket.
Yeah, he's in the top 5 in terms of rush yards for quarterbacks. Averages almost 7 yards a carry.
Let's go 50. Hey, 10.
Blitz. Trubisky gets away. Floats one for the tight end, Shaheen, and he's got it. And the elusiveness of Mitchell Trubisky allowed Adam Shaheen to get the first down.
Yeah, you get the perfect blitz dialed up. Here comes Eddie Pleasant in. He's going to come unblocked. He's got a free shot at the quarterback. And there's that athleticism of Mitchell Trubisky. It's so frustrating for a defense to have the right call, do everything but get the quarterback down, and then you give up a first down.
I'll just say this because he's on the field at the same. It was almost Aaron Rodgers-like the way that the second-year quarterback made that happen. A pickup of 23 yards on an important third down to keep the ball away from Rodgers and the Packer offense. Tariq Cohen on a dump-off, net right away and thrown down by Eddie Pleasant. Fans want a flag, but there is none.
I think Eddie's still upset that he missed the sack on the last play.
And they'll lose 4.
That's hard. I mean, Tariq Cohen in space is not the easiest thing to do, so I'm just trying to make sure I got a hold of him.
Can't blame him. That guy is slippery.
Hey, 4 down.
Daryl Johnston more open on the field. Chris Myers, hope you're enjoying the NFL on Fox. Second quarter from Soldier Field. Trubisky's throw at the 40. Allen Robinson with the grab, his third of the game, and Martinez was right there. So this is what's on the line, in case you're unaware. The Bears, who were last place team in the division last year, up at the top, and Mike Nagy, first-year head coach, with a win, clinches the NFC North. And the Packers in trouble because the Vikings are winning 21-0. And if that happens and the Packers lose here, they are eliminated from playoff hope.
What are we on?
3rd and 9, Howard the back. Trubisky's throw incomplete. Threw it early, and Robinson wasn't out of his turn. And it'll be 4th down. Pat O'Donnell, the punter, will trot out. Only scoring so far the Jordan Howard 9-yard touchdown run, and then the field goal by Crosby. That's Randall Cobb back to receive. Packers will have all 3 of their timeouts. Rodgers has extended his NFL record by 10 more attempts without an interception. Looking into the sun. That'll be down inside the 2. What a play by Joshua Bellamy. And the Bears special teams come up big. Chicago celebrating a terrific Bears season.
How many times do we get to celebrate a punter, Chris? This looks like you on the golf course with a 3/4 wedge. Watch him kind of take a little bit off on that one right there. That allows Joshua Bellamy to down the ball down on the 2. Well done, well executed.
Pat O'Donnell, his second punt inside the 5. He had 4 inside the 20 against the Rams last week. Rodgers on 1st down. St. Brown gets out of bounds, and a quick game break. Say hi again to Carissa.
Thanks so much, Chris. So the Vikings up 21-0 on the Dolphins, looking for more, but Kirk Cousins intercepted by Minkah Fitzpatrick, who takes it in for 6. Dolphins down by 14. Chris, Daryl, and Laura.
All right, thank you. We have hit the 2-minute warning. The Bears can see the playoffs. Packers hoping to keep their hopes alive. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Visa halftime coming up. All the highlights, the latest on the playoff pictures. The weeks are winding down. After the 2-minute warning, all 3 timeouts on 2nd and 3 for Rodgers. In his own end zone. On the run. And incomplete at the legs of Davante Adams. It'll be 3rd and 3.
pocket. It's starting to collapse, and the good thing, get Aaron Rodgers out to his left. I mean, he can make almost any throw. We've seen him make a number of incredible throws through his career moving to his left, but at least do that. Again, it's Khalil Mack collapsing everything, and very unique in his ability to transition from that speed that you're concerned about into the power that he's able to have on these tackles.
Bears have done an excellent job keeping Rodgers under pressure, and Mack is lining up against David Bakhtiari, the left tackle here. Can Rodgers extend the play to get time? He's going to hand it off to Williams, and it looks like, we'll see where they spot it, where he first went down. That indicator he'll be short of the first down. And it is going to be fourth down. A missed opportunity given the timeouts, and usually, especially with Green Bay set to receive in the second half of this game, to at least dig out of the hole and make things more difficult for the Bears offense, or possibly get some points. Chicago had to use the timeout there, so they have one remaining here. And standing back at midfield is Tariq Cohen.
And the opportunity to convert was there. The running lane was there. Just Jamal Williams kind of stumbled over some of those legs in there. Got to pick those knees up.
And Aaron Jones out with a knee injury, questionable, as we told you in that opening quarter. The kick away and a high one. Cohen, fair catch inside the Chicago 40. Well, given what's on the line, Daryl, we're enjoying this with the sun shining in Chicago. Great vibe here as well. Really the biggest game they've had in a December Soldier Field matchup. What's your read so far, the way these two teams are going at it?
I think one of the things that Matt Nagy told us that I thought was interesting was learning from that Rams game, and one of the things he learned is the complexion of the game. And I think both of these coaches understanding how important field position is going to be, and being able to get just a couple of field or first downs and trying to get your opponent backed up. Chicago, obviously, that great job by Pat O'Donnell with his punt, and Josh Bellamy getting it down to the 2-yard line, now getting the ball back here.
Trubisky's throw is on target, should be enough for a first down. Near midfield is Trey Burton. Yeah, Nagy also said he learned about himself as a play caller sometimes to not be as aggressive given the way his defense is playing, the way the game is going, and this seems to have that feel. Now they spotted the ball short of the 49, so it's going to be second down as the clock runs, and the Bears have that one timeout. Cohen gets the first down with room. Tariq Cohen inside the 30 of the Packers.
Guys got such a good burst, and it looks like there's not going to be a whole lot there. Watch how shifty he is, but once he declares, the patience right there, and then the acceleration once he decides where that running lane is.
And Green Bay looks like they want the timeout after a 22-yard run by Tariq Cohen. It's the biggest run of the day. In the big picture, the grand scheme of things, and the Visa halftime report will update some of these. Seattle at that 5th spot, and then that 6th wild card. Now the Vikings are winning, so they kind of control the path a little bit, but there's a lot of other teams that are contending, that are vulturing, hoping to swoop down in there and take advantage of an opportunity.
Yeah, and the big thing here, I thought it was a great conversation, people here in Chicago, that 3 versus the 4 seed, the Chicago-Dallas battle that's going on right now. The one team you don't want is that Seattle team that sits at the 5 seed right now. You want to make sure that you don't drop to that 4 seed and have to play Seattle.
Bears just want to win and lock up the division right now. Trubisky has a lot of time, and he's on the move. On the run, incomplete. Eddie Pleasant again from the secondary put the pressure on to get Trubisky off his mark.
I think it's one of the great things about the Mike Pettin style of defense. You really don't have that Khalil Mack guy on your side. I mean, Clay Matthews, we know how he can rush the passer and the things that he can do, but you don't have that dominant edge rusher on your side. So Mike Pettin has really done a great job of scheming guys, the linebackers and the secondary guys, and coming up with ways for them to pressure the quarterback. And we've seen a couple of times with a free run at Mitchell Trubisky.
Mizell in at running back, often a protector. A high throw, but it's hauled in by Joshua Bellamy. It was really a crisp throw because it had to be up there given the defense, and a timeout Chicago.
And again, you know, you've got some pressure coming in from Mitchell Trubisky's left-hand side. You've got a late rusher coming in, but he stands there in the pocket, delivers a nice throw. Good location again, out in front, giving Joshua Bellamy the opportunity to be the only one to make that catch.
A pickup of 18 yards. At the 12-yard line of the Packers, they used their last timeout. Trubisky now 12 out of 17, nearing 150 passing yards, and has spread the ball around.
Yeah, and that's the big challenge for Joe Philbin, Mike Pettin. This offense utilizes everybody, and you know, we've seen them with some of their gadget plays, and they incorporate guys into it, but just in their base offense, you know, they make sure that everybody gets a touch on the football.
Tariq Cohen with the catch toward the end zone, and touchdown Bears.
He has such unique abilities to separate from players. And you think there's an opportunity right there for Kentrell Brice to make that tackle, but his acceleration and his ability to separate. Tyreek Hill might be the only other guy in the NFL right now that's kind of playing this position that has a more better ability to separate from defenders than Tariq Cohen.
Excuse me, Daryl, saw how close it was. It was confirmed. That extra lunge and showing that speed you talked about, and a big tipping point in this game. It's now an 11-point lead as Cohen gets his 5th receiving touchdown.
And just remember how this whole thing started, the great complementary football that the Bears played, the special teams downing the punt at the 2-yard line, the defense forcing a 3 and out, getting the ball back to the offense, and then getting them into that 2-minute situation.
Yeah, he came off that Ram game. He had, for him, 69 yards rushing, his season high. The game before that, even though it was a tough loss for the Bears, he had a big game against the Giants with a career-high 12 catches. So there's a number of ways. In fact, you go back to his rookie year, he was the first NFL rookie since Gale Sayers to have a touchdown by run, reception, pass, and punt return, and he's continuing that in his second year. Aaron Rodgers will have to play comeback. 30 seconds, 2 timeouts. Jamon Moore back to receive. Out to the 25-yard line. Hey, twin brothers are going to defend their titles. It's a big night of championship fights on Fox. Jermall Charlo and Jermell Charlo not fighting each other. They'll be in the ring for Premier Boxing Champions Saturday on Fox and the Fox Sports app. We hope you join us for Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And the boxing reference from Nagy earlier about his team, that every punch that's been thrown at us this year, even after the disappointing loss to the Giants, the Bears have responded. Rodgers will keep and slide short of the first down, and a timeout used.
And Khalil Mack as a pass rusher, just not his ability there, but he sensed that screen immediately, and there was no way that they're going to complete this. Here he is on the outside, kind of like alternating from series to series. But watch, he's going to see Jamal Williams come out to set up that, gets off the pass rush and jumps into coverage.
He picked up 7. Green Bay will have one more timeout that they can use. Not a lot of time left on the clock. Packers have not turned it over here in this first half. Joe Philbin is saying that Rodgers called time and you allowed seconds, valuable seconds, to tick off the clock. That's what he was telling. Rodgers was telling the official the same thing on the field. We know about Rodgers and the Hail Mary. He can just get his team in position. Spins out of the pocket. And the throw is incomplete. Equanimous St. Brown was back there. And as good as the offense looked against Atlanta, as you said, it was Atlanta when the Packers were able to score 34 unanswered points.
Yeah, but this is a completely different defense that they're facing this afternoon. And Atlanta's defense has been decimated by injury since week 1 to start this season. And this Bears defense has just gotten better and better through the course of the year.
And you're without your leading rusher in Aaron Jones with that knee injury. Packers only have 100 total yards of offense. Bears have over 200. Need 3 for a first down. It's Williams with a big hole, and Jamal Williams crosses midfield down at the 47. Packers will use their last timeout with just 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, Vic Fangio is not going to be happy with that one. And as good as Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith are at the inside linebacker position, surprised to see such a big run at that stage.
Now you know what we mean about valuable seconds, because really you have time unless there's a penalty for just one more play. After a run of 20 yards and 5 seconds left.
Yeah, we always went about 6 seconds if you wanted to try and sneak one more play in here. So I would expect something we saw earlier, kind of that drop roll, and then maybe a Hail Mary down to the end zone.
Rodgers was trying to draw him offside and get a flag as he is setting up for the Hail Mary, and Rodgers heaving for the end zone and batted around. Davante Adams had a shot at it. He was surrounded by Bears, but he at least had an opportunity. There's number 17 Adams before Eddie Jackson knocked it away. Let's look at the play of the first half. Presented by DirecTV. More for your thing, that's our thing. And Tariq Cohen with a catch and a reach to the end zone for a touchdown on the flip from Trubisky. The Bears in control at the half at Soldier Field. A win clinches the NFC North Division for Chicago. Let's go to LA for the Visa halftime. Time for today's Game Flow, brought to you by Progressive. NFL on Fox from Soldier Field, and the Bears now, they have led in the second half of every game this year, and this may be the most important. If they hang on, they win the NFC North. Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers, nice to have you watching with us. Well, we don't have to go back very far to recall an Aaron Rodgers comeback specifically against this Bears team. You go back to week 1, but the Chicago defense looks tough. We'll get a chance to see Aaron Rodgers and the Packer offense right away.
The big question at the top, how do they handle the success of that signature win against that Rams offense last Sunday night in prime time? I thought they did a good job. They came out and they played effectively. We talked to both teams and they talked about the importance of field position and the complexity of the game. This was played very well in the first half. We'll see if that continues. I think the big thing, Aaron Jones with the knee injury who hasn't been back, how does that impact the Packers? But this Bears defense, boy, they're really good. And you heard Michael Strahan talk about Khalil Mack and how he can just take a game over. And it impacts everything, right? You're able to set up blitzes and do all these different things with him. So it's going to be a good second half here because, as you said, you never know when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback on the other side.
And Rodgers without Aaron Jones, the leading rusher again. If you tuned in a little bit late, he played in the opening quarter and then hurt his knee. Trubisky, though, what a bounce-back performance from him. A couple of big pass plays that have allowed the Bears to build the lead, as we'll get a touchback here and head down to the field in Lawrence.
Matt Nagy went into the locker room at halftime, and what he wanted to do was remind his guys how it felt week 1 when they were leading the first half against this Green Bay team and did not close the deal. The message, this time we have to finish. Joe Philbin. He said everything we talked about yesterday came to fruition. Field position, make third downs, and make a few big plays. We haven't had any. We've got to stay on the field and keep their offense off of it. Aaron Jones still out right now.
All right, thank you very much. So Jamal Williams continues in the backfield. Rodgers on first down to throw for Davante Adams. He's got a first down up across the 36-yard line. Right before the half, the Hail Mary, Adams had a chance, but we're just checking to make sure Rodgers is okay as he spun out of that, wincing a bit. Although he'll do that lean thing, stretch. He came out and kind of got loose right before they kicked off to start the second half. He's as healthy as he's been all season, but there's work after the season. He's not 100% healthy. Remember that knee injury in the opener. Williams with a big hole, and Williams gets up across the 41-yard line. Laura?
As we're seeing this offense try to find its rhythm, they will be without their leading rusher, Aaron Jones, for the rest of the game. He has officially been ruled out, Chris.
Okay, so that makes it more difficult for Williams, and the only other active back is the fullback, Danny Vitale, who's been up and down with the team. More of a throwing situation anyway for Aaron Rodgers, who said if he can extend plays, he thinks he can make big plays against this defense. That's a first down catch. You look at the possessions in the first half, protecting the football against this takeaway Bears defense.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is having some success on first down so you don't get in those second and long, third and long situations, because he referred to it as a timing defense, right? They're going to jump routes. They know that Khalil Mack and that front, and they're going to get home. So they wait, and their clock is in their head for the defenders, just like you would for a quarterback scramble. They'll jump routes and take the ball away.
He's coming,
From the Packer 48, Rodgers with room to run if he wants it, and he will take it and slide. Looks like just before the 43 and just short of a first down. Now, last week he ran for more yards in one game than he had in any other game this season, and looks like a little slow getting up there.
Yeah, at the end with the slide, and you know, you see right here again, there's just there's something not quite right. He did do something on that Hail Mary at the end of the first half.
Yeah, and he's a guy, his body language anyway has been a hot topic in Green Bay. He picked up 8. But it was an important first down gain, so on second down, Williams gets enough for another first down.
And the one thing you don't want to do is limited against this Bears defense, as we've got a Bear defender down on the field.
And we will check on the injury of Aaron Lynch. He filled in when Mack was out for the 2 games and had a big play in the first half here. Checking on Aaron Lynch of the Bears. Aaron Lynch able to walk toward the sideline and headed to the locker room holding that right arm.
Hey, base.
After the first down for Green Bay.
319.
Rodgers has it and dumps it off to Kendricks, who goes out of bounds at the 40. Danny Trevathan ran him out.
Well, right now, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Aaron Rodgers continues to stretch and move, so there's something that's bothering him, and you could see as he came out on that bootleg, you know, not the pace that we normally see. So, you know, how is that going to impact the play calling with getting outside the pocket, extending the plays? That was a big concern of the Chicago Bears defense.
DeShone Kizer, the backup, Tim Boyle inactive. Remember, Rodgers has started every game. He had that knee injury that sidelined him in the opener briefly. That's a first down completion to Jimmy Graham, who has his first catch of this game.
Yeah, expect the ball to come out a little bit quicker now. And again, we talked about, you know, Aaron Rodgers telling us this Bears defense is a timing defense. That they're aggressive, they will jump routes. That's why they lead the league in interceptions. They trust that front to get pressure on the quarterback. So does that play into their hands right now, knowing that Aaron is not going to be able to extend? That ball is going to have to come out a little bit quicker.
Well, I wonder if they thought that when he came back in week 1, was able to do what he did. Jamal Williams, and the Bears keep him from getting beyond the 25. Again, Roquan Smith. Well, the job that Vic Fangio has done as the defensive coordinator with this Chicago Bears team has been outstanding. The 60-year-old in his 4th year as the defensive coordinator, staying on when Matt Nagy was named as the head coach, and has his pieces in place. Of course, missing Bryce Callahan, who is the slot corner, broken foot, so he's on injured reserve. 8th time this year the Bears have held an opponent to 6 or fewer points in the first half. Second and 7. Rodgers throws an incomplete. Devontae Adams, but it was an awkward play. Roy Robertson Harris had the pressure.
Yeah, protection just becomes paramount right now. You got to be able to be secure and strong in your protection so he's not getting flushed out of the pocket. And there's kind of that example right there, trussing it and jumping it, because after every play we're seeing a little bit of that grimace from Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers throw for Randall Cobb, but it's incomplete. The coverage was good by Sherrick McManus, who is helping to fill in for the previously mentioned Bryce Callahan, who's injured.
Coming out of the slot. Going to have a little bit of safety help over top. Tries to get on top. Good job by Sherrick McManus, just not letting him bend over the top and get back to the middle of the field.
Mason Crosby out to try a field goal. You know, the Packers have been a middle-of-the-pack team, and that doesn't set well with Rodgers and Packer fans. Crosby's kick, and he's going to slip it through from 43 yards away. And now it's an 8-point difference. Bears keep Rodgers in the pack out of the end zone. Scoring drive, covering 50 yards at a Crosby field goal. Rodgers, in his career against Chicago, he's won 16 out of 20, an uphill battle against this defense, this crowd. In this scene today, Anthony Miller back to receive. 9.5 remaining here in the third quarter. And on the run, Miller has it. And Miller up across the 30. And good setup for Trubisky and the Bears offense. Considered one of the special honors, the league's most prestigious honor, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. It recognizes players who exhibit excellence on the field and have a positive impact away from the field and contributing in their communities. This year's nominees for the Packers is Kenny Clark, and for the Bears, Trey Burton. And the winner announced at the NFL Honors the night before Super Bowl 53. If you want more on all the nominees, please visit NFL.com/Man of the Year. Trubisky's throw batted in the air, incomplete for Robinson. Laura.
I talked to Trey Burton about that honor, and he said it's an honor on any team, but even more so on the Chicago team. He told me, I did a deep dive on Walter Payton. Once my name was attached to it, I wanted to know more about who he was, and what he said he found out was, as impressive as Walter was on the field, even more so off of it. He said he was the first player to really use football as an opportunity to make a difference. I hope I do the same.
Thank you very much. On 2nd and 10. 8-point game at the moment. Trubisky floats one for Cohen. He's trying to get the first down, and he weaves his way around and did.
I thought he made a mistake by ducking back. That guy is so unique in his abilities on the field. He's so hard to get down. Right here, when he kind of loses ground, I thought maybe he was going to give up the opportunity, but look how quickly he can stop and then get north and south again.
Again, the leading receiver in the game for the Bears with his 4th catch, including the touchdown grab. Also a 22-yard run earlier. Picked up 13 there, and the Bears are on the move.
Hey, let's go 50.
Jordan Howard is in at running back from the 43.
50.
Howard has it and gets a yard. Ball comes, looks like it came out, but they got it back. And on top of it for Chicago is Cody Whitehair, the center. So we had a batted pass play on this drive, and then it looked like a loose football. Packers, as Joe Philbin said, we want to beat the Bears at their own game, meaning take it away from them if you can. So far, we haven't had a turnover.
Hey, 52 down. Come on. Come on, James.
Second and 10. Howard slips through and gets to midfield. Let's get a game break with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. Dolphins trailing 21-10 in Minnesota when Ryan Tannehill hands it off to rookie running back Kalen Ballage, who takes it 75 yards, his first career touchdown. Dolphins still trailing 21-17. Chris Terrell and Laura.
All right, two teams hoping to get into the playoffs. Miami within 4 now of the Vikings. The Lions are winning in Buffalo 13-7. The Redskins are losing in Jacksonville 10-3. Mizell has the football and is brought down at the 49. Looks like he's short of the first down. Fidel Brown brought him down. And it's going to be 4th down, and here comes the punting unit.
Yeah, I know that we've talked a lot about this offense having a lot of weapons, but, you know, 3rd downs in situations like that, you'd like to have the ball in Tariq Cohen's hands.
And you don't go for it, and this is one of those situations where Nagy said, I learned in that Ram game, sometimes if the defense is playing well, even though he likes to call creative plays, and he's got an offensive mind coming from that background, having played quarterback, play the percentages. They line up and they fake. It's not a percentage play, and it backfires on the Bears. You just can't keep an aggressive guy from being aggressive. As Cunningham, looked like Benny Cunningham was the up back and went for it on 4th and 2 on the fake punt. And the Packers were ready. They take over on downs at midfield.
3 defensive guys on that side, and then you come over here, you got 3 offensive guys. Offensive guys know how to block. Defensive guys know how to tackle. Look at that. You got a guy breaking through right there that just crushes that fake punt. So defensive guys got to learn how to block if you're going to be on that fake punt team.
Says a former fullback. Best field position for the Packers in this game. Rodgers throwing over the head of an open Randall Cobb. And he knew it. Well, what do you think of the fake punt?
It's always hard for me in those situations when you get to midfield, and you've got a guy like Tariq Cohen, you know, and you've got so many weapons there. I just line up and run the offense. I think sometimes you overthink it, and again, that situation, you know, you got defensive guys on the left side, and it's different, right? You have to learn how to block. There's techniques that go with the blocking, so they got beat across the face, and they blew that play up. I'd have just left my offense on 4th down.
See if Rodgers could make him pay. On 2nd and 10, Jamal Williams on a delay, and he'll gain a couple, and that's it. Leonard Floyd, good tackle. They'll bring up 3rd down at about 8. Their defense with a couple of sacks today. They have yet to take it away. Here's where Khalil Mack, he said the crowd was big for us Sunday night against the Rams. We need him again today.
One of those situations that Joe Philbin trying to avoid. 3rd and 8.
Blitz picked up. Rodgers unloads. Sideline for Devontae Adams. He hauls it in despite the coverage from Prince Amukamara. They're ruling it a catch. We'll check the feet.
It's good coverage by Prince Amukamara. You can see how tight that is. It was one of the things in the Rams game that I thought was impressive. We talked about the front and the pressure, but the back end, the coverage was great. That's good coverage again there. That's just a great throw catch by Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams.
A Pro Bowl year for Adams. He came in with more than 90 catches and a dozen touchdowns and over 1,200 receiving yards. A gain of 28 on a big third down. Quick pass. Adams the other way, gets a block and sprints for a first down inside the 10. We'll check the spot. It should be first and goal. Looks like a Packer. And if that's Adams, he's in pain heading to the Green Bay sideline. And it is Davante Adams.
And that'll be trouble down here in the red zone. That is Aaron Rodgers' favorite target down here in the red zone.
Mentioned his 12 touchdowns, tied for the NFL lead. A dozen touchdown catches. First and goal from the 10. Jamal Williams is in the end zone for a Packer score. He hesitated, got the blocks, and worked his way in.
You just want to get on that line and follow your track, and you kind of get the handoff. You're going to come here, and then it's going to be a one cut and gone. So it's kind of patience, getting to that outside, following that track, a little bow right there, and now there's your running lane.
They're going to go for 2. Packers 3 out of 6 this year. Rodgers throws, catch made. Davante Adams slips back in the game and makes the grab to tie this game. Aaron Rodgers with his 2-point conversion after Jamal Williams scored the touchdown. They add 2, but remember, it all came after a fake punt by the Bears that failed. After the Packers were ready on that fake punt that failed for Chicago, Davante Adams a big 28-yard catch on 3rd and 8, and it set up the Jamal Williams touchdown. Remember, Aaron Jones is out of the game with a knee injury. It has been since the first half for Green Bay. Chicago will start at the 25-yard line. Mitchell Trubisky all of a sudden in a tie game as we check the numbers, and he's been steady at the controls. A touchdown for Jordan Howard and also Tariq Cohen on a catch and run. See how the Packer defense responds here.
Hey, 4 downs. 35.
Cohen is the back.
50.
Trubisky incomplete. Trey Burton the target. The coverage good by Jair Alexander.
Yeah, you're putting your top corner on Trey Burton. That shows you the respect that they have, understanding the chemistry between Mitchell Trubisky and his tight end. I mean, Jair Alexander was matched up against Julio Jones predominantly last week against the Falcons.
Soldier Field with the division
Hey, 4 down, run.
within grasp of the Bears if they win today. Darryl Johnston, Chris Myers, NFL on Fox. The Packers have battled back into a tie, trailing the entire game, and that's a low throw again for Burton that's incomplete. Green Bay still faint playoff hopes, but they have to win out and get a lot of help. And all Matt Nagy needs is a win here. Currently the 3 seed in the NFC, the Saints and Rams top shelf. Packers at that 4 spot as Joe Philbin in his 2nd game as the head coach, the interim coach, taking over for the fired Mike McCarthy.
Gator.
On 3rd and 10.
Larry.
Trubisky, there's a delayed blitz, and he gets out of it. And he can run for the first down, and he'll make it.
I think Clay Matthews told us exactly this scenario and how frustrating it is for defense. It's 3rd and 10. You play great coverage, but you have a quarterback who has the ability to extend the play. And you're in man coverage. Everybody has their back turned to Mitchell Trubisky. He recognizes that, scrambles for the first down.
A pickup of 14 yards. Rashad Braylon was in there but couldn't get a hand on him. He's escaped a few times today to keep drives alive.
10. 10. Blue 80! What's that?
From the 39, Trubisky. The ball's out, and the Bears are on it. He was set to throw, and James Daniels came up with the fumbled football, or we would have our first turnover of this game. And Tyler Lancaster of the Pack looked like he knocked it loose from Trubisky.
It's one of those situations. Don't do too much. The play is over right there. You're not going to make anything positive happen. Very, very fortunate.
It was actually
that James Daniels was able to get that.
It was the helmet of Daniels there, Daryl, where the ball, he was trying to bring it back in. His helmet rolled off, and Daniels was there to recover. It'll be a loss of 3.
Right 4. Let's go, Rick. Rick. 10. Blue 80! What's that?
Pressure from behind. Matthews chasing Trubisky, who delivers to midfield. And hanging on was Taylor Gabriel.
Nice job by Mitchell Trubisky again, extending the play because he's got Clay Matthews coming right behind him in pursuit. Gets around Bobby Massey now as he escapes. I mean, he just gets this off in the nick of time.
The 10-year veteran chasing Trubisky, who has shown in this game, just got it over. Like Josh Jackson or Jones back there putting their arm up for the completion. Frustration in the Packers secondary. Gain of 14.
Blue 80! Blue!
Jordan Howard falls forward for a yard or 2. There have not been a lot of big running plays. Cohen had a 22-yarder, and otherwise quarterbacks scrambling for yardage.
And you wonder if they want to try and get Jordan Howard back into this game. He was a key part early on, that first quarter, early into the second quarter. But since that time, there's been a transition to Tariq Cohen.
11 carries in the game for Howard. Only 3 for Cohen.
Right 4. Let's go, Rick.
Tariq Cohen is in the backfield. And now splits as a receiver. That's him in motion coming back to Trubisky. First down. Adam Shaheen working down to the 32 of the Packers.
There's number 87 split out to the left. The big body right there just kind of breaks inside.
A pickup of 16. Trubisky over 200 yards passing today. Shaheen, the backup tight end to Trey Burton. As the third quarter is winding down.
44, 50.
Got a timeout with 4 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Chicago, the Bears did call the timeout. They'll have 2 remaining. And now this from State Farm. Matt Nagy had to use a timeout there. The play clock was running down on Trubisky.
Yeah, they got Joshua Bellamy out onto the field late, so the Packers afforded the opportunity to match substitution.
Tariq Cohen weaving his way down to the 26-yard line. And that will end the third quarter. It's what you'd expect. The Packers, the Bears, tied at 14. The division on the line for Chicago. Longest active playoff droughts of the NFL. The Bears hoping to remove themselves from that list. Hey, even the Browns are still alive in this thing, but Matt Nagy, only 1 loss at home this year for this Bears team, as Howard carries near a first down starting the fourth quarter. Chicago scored early. Howard and Cohen each have a touchdown. Packers settled for field goals until a fake punt kind of turned the tide. And Aaron Rodgers and the Pack able to take that in for a touchdown and convert for 2.
Couple of big fumble recoveries by offensive linemen for the Bears as well. Cody Whitehair and James Daniels both recovering fumbles that would have given the Packers good field position.
They only need a yard. Trubisky splits out, bottom of your screen. It's an all running back backfield. Cohen, Howard, Mizell. And the ball's loose again. Green Bay is on it. It's the first turnover of the game. And it's the Packers who have it. Dean Lowry comes up with the loose football. A gimmick play that backfired on 3rd and a yard.
Yeah, and you're going to run option, so you're going to ride right here. And just the fumble on the exchange. Was he trying to give it to Jordan Howard? It didn't look like it. Looked like he wanted to pull and then option down towards the end of the line. Let's see from this angle if he wants to hold it and pull it. You see right there, it looks like Jordan Howard is squeezing it, but it's not all the way in, so just a bad exchange.
It looked like Cohen maybe wanted to keep that. Fumble, recovery, Green Bay. The crowd anxious. Rodgers to throw on the run, and he's going to go down. Couldn't get away, brought down at the 23-yard line. Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd doing a nice job this season. Going to be coming from the side here as that other edge rusher opposite Khalil Mack. It just continues to work. Breaks inside. We've seen him making a lot of plays, not just as a pass rusher this season, but as a complete outside linebacker. Really starting to grow into this defense.
Only a loss of 2, but it is the 3rd sack for Chicago. Rodgers going deep for Randall Cobb and overthrows Cobb. No flags. Packers spread out all over, but they all look covered.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed by this Bears defense against the Rams. Their coverage, I think the front got a lot of credit for the pressure that they were getting, the sacks they got on Jared Goff, but a lot of those were because the coverage was so good on the back end. Just a great performance by that Bears defense last week. You look at some of those numbers.
On 3rd and 12, Rodgers deep over the head of Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And it's 4th down. The Bear defense stood up to the challenge after the turnover.
That's the amazing thing about this defense, and I thought it was, impressive against the Rams. What they do if their offense turns the ball over, how they're able to respond. Coming into the game, there was 28 points scored off of 14 giveaways by the offense. That's a great response by your defense.
The rookie from Alabama, drafted in the 5th round, J.K. Scott, gets the kick away. There's a flag down. Cohen sheds a tackle, and Tariq Cohen is knocked down at the 45 of Chicago. We'll check the flag back at the 17.
Holding. Offense number 43. Chicago is elected to take that 10-yard penalty from the succeeding spot. 1st down. Timeout.
They'll be up around midfield on offense after the Bears defense took care of the Packers. So players can change throughout this series, but lately the Bears, when it comes to going against the Packers, 15 of the last 17 they've lost. Trying to change that and go from worst in the division to first. Jordan Howard carries. This is the best field position for the Bears, and that's saying a lot because in the first half they held the upper hand in that area and took advantage.
They really did. Green Bay was able to weather the storm with kind of that uphill field position, and now it's kind of gone in their favor with the turnover and everything. But a great job by special teams and the defense combining to give the offense this opportunity.
Last few times, a fake punt that didn't work and a botched third down fumble. Trubisky rifles that for a first down to Taylor Gabriel. That's inside the 35 of Green Bay. Under 12 and a half to play. Packers faint playoff hopes. They need to win out and get help. The Bears win clinches their first division since 2010.
Hey, we got 4 here. Let's go 50. Liz. Sasha. Lady.
Incomplete. Allen Robinson, here comes a flag late. Alexander reached in there. Looked like after Robinson had his hands on the football, but they may call interference.
Did he get there a little bit early?
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. The ball he placed the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
Let's just see if he gets there a little bit early. A great break on the ball. Yeah, just a step early.
Tough break on the rookie who's played well, the first rounder. Only Tramon Williams and Clay Matthews are around from the Packers Super Bowl team years, along with Rodgers. Philbin was part of that. First down after the penalty. Trubisky keeps and gets to the 20. Make that Trey Burton on a handoff from Trubisky.
And again, it's all that misdirection. You're really challenging what defense is doing from their assignment standpoint with the motions that are crossing and returning, and then you're reading the zone read, and then you got a little flip pass underneath the Trey Burton.
Yeah, I guess technically, what, shovel pass?
Yeah.
Picks up 5. Trubisky has played error-free football.
Let's go 50.
Even though he has been hit a few times, lost a fumble, but they got it back.
No. 50, no, 10.
Trubisky for the end zone, and Cohen, and out of bounds. He was trying to run under it. There's a flag down back inside the 10.
Before the pass was thrown, holding. Defense number 26. That 5-yard penalty results in an automatic first down.
2 penalties in this drive. That's against Bashaud Breeland, have hurt the Packer defense.
Yeah, that was a good play design right there. They were able to get Tariq Cohen against Eddie Pleasant, so you've got that speed at running back going up against the safety, and just couldn't get it on a wheel route into the end zone.
Hey, Bear!
In the red zone, a couple of touchdowns in 3 possessions. We're at the 15. Chicago, Howard, a couple of yards and shoved backwards. Well, if you're Matt Nagy in a tie game, you're facing Rodgers. We know the history. We know what's on the line. How aggressive are you down here? Obviously, you want to at least come away with 3, no matter what.
Absolutely. And you know, there'll be a lot of discussion about that fake punt. Sometimes you're doing that because your defense is so good and you have so much faith that they'll be able to stop them. But they could stop Aaron Rodgers after that.
We got 10, Gator. We're 5 down.
Trubisky protected for the end zone. Touchdown, Trey Burton. That's aggressive.
Just not very good coverage on this play right here. I mean, Trey Burton is just running a simple corner route. He's going to press up, now break to the outside, and Josh Jones playing very soft coverage right there.
6th touchdown catch of the year, just double checking the feet and confirming. And Trubisky well protected. His 2nd touchdown pass of this game. Parkey, the extra point. And the 2nd-year quarterback leads his team downfield and into the end zone. Bears up at home in the 4th quarter. Trubisky to Trey Burton. His offensive line protected him well enough to get the ball to the former Eagle. Burton coming over after a Super Bowl ring from Philadelphia, and now expected to be a part of the Bears playoff run. It's over 10 minutes to go. Can they hang on against their rivals? Jamon Moore is back, and it will be a touchback. An adventurous second half with the Bears, the fake punt on 4th and 2 that didn't work, and then a fumble on 3rd and 1.
And their defense bailed them out after the turnover. They couldn't bail them out after the fake punt, but they got them the ball back. Special teams gives them great field position, and then that offense rolls right down the field to take the lead 21-14. And we've talked about, how well they played against the Rams and what would their response be to handling success. Let's not forget, Mitchell Trubisky had a tough night against the Rams and kind of mixed emotions at the end of that. He's come back and he's played well this afternoon against Green Bay. 3
interceptions in that win. He felt terrible, but his coach said, don't worry about it. It's about winning the game. Rodgers is going to get down, sack inside the 20. And it's Khalil Mack.
Well, during the course of the game, they've done a good job locating Khalil Mack, kind of helping him out when there's an opportunity. But at some point, your tackle's just got to stand on his own. And boy, he's able to dip and get underneath, and he can get to the quarterback so quickly.
That's the 4th sack in this game, and Mack has been involved in 3 of them. Randall Cobb can't hang on. It would have been enough to at least give him running room toward a first down.
Making plays, it was one of the things a lot of the Packer players have talked about. There's chances for big plays. That's an opportunity for Randall Cobb right there to get you a real manageable 3rd down, if not maybe converting it for the first down right there. Now they're in a 3rd and long against this Bears defense, and you don't want to be there.
Rodgers screen batted in the air and incomplete. Williams had a second shot at it, but Hicks, big Akeem Hicks, knocked the ball away on the Rodgers attempt.
Trying to get a screen out to the left side. It's just a good job by Akeem Hicks right there, knowing he's not going to get to the quarterback, but he gets that big hand up in the throwing lane and makes that deflection.
Hicks, just like Mack, forces Roquan Smith, by the way, only 10 tackles in this game for Chicago, and the punting unit out for Green Bay. It's another 1-score game for the Packers. 5 of their 7 losses have been by 1 score or less. Cohen with room to run, and Tariq Cohen is gliding inside the 30. And run out of bounds by the punter, J.K. Scott.
He has so much space when he fields this ball, so give a credit to the guys on the outside for the Bears. The double team guys, look at all that space. The Packers are 10 yards away. You can't do that to Tariq Cohen. You've got to have people close. Kyler Fackrell's got to break down. You got to come to balance when you got a guy that shifty coming at you.
A 44-yard return for Tariq Cohen, the littlest guy on the field. And that could be a backbreaker for the Pack. Well, he plays with a big heart. You talk to him, he's feisty too. He's always ready. Attitude. Spotted at the 15. Jordan Howard picks up 3.5 or so. That sequence of seeing Akeem Hicks and Tariq Cohen, the defense likes to hang out on their own, and I remember that Hicks said one of the few guys we'll let hang out with us from the offense is Cohen. He acts big, talks big. Even in practice, he's not afraid to go up against Hicks. He's had quite a game today. Both have.
We had him earlier this year. It was, Khalil was coming back after the couple of games he'd sat out, and we kind of talked about with the pass rush, and he said, well, I'll line up against him. 10 times, he might get by me once. He plays with a ton of confidence out there.
Jordan Howard slips one tackle but can't get out of the other. A group of Packers bring him down just beyond the 10-yard line, under 8.5 to play. Bears defense forces the punt, the 40-plus return, and with a 7-point lead, Nagy and Trubisky trying to get more.
One of the things that we've heard a ton this season, Chris, is that element of complementary football. This may be the best example of it here. The last couple of series, and even Green Bay, from Green Bay side, played some great complementary football in the first half as well.
Blake Martinez has had a good game, a good year, but Taquan Mizell comes in on 3rd and 6. Trubisky has time again and drops it off to Cohen, who goes out of bounds. And he's frustrated because he looked like he could have turned upfield and gone towards the end zone.
Yeah, he just kind of lost track of where he was on the field, and he's going full speed. He's trying to get turn up.
Trubisky said, go do what you did with that other one where you reached out towards the end zone. So they're short of the first down, spotted just outside the 6, 4th and a yard. It'd be a 24-yard field goal here. The percentages say kick the field goal and make it a 10-point game.
Well, one of the things that this team loves is how Matt Nagy doesn't just talk about being aggressive, but actually follows it up with his style. And so they're all on board when he makes those decisions. But here he's going to send out the field goal team.
And Cody Parkey. Play clock running down, so they don't want to use another timeout here. They want to line up and kick it. And it's good. Under 7 minutes to play. And after this return by Cohen, Parkey delivers the field goal, and it's a 10-point Bears lead. A lot of greats have walked the columns of Soldier Field over the years. Bears today hoping to wrap up the NFC North. This defense, there are some numbers as they kick off and get a touchback. The Bears lead the NFL in the turnover ratio, +13. The last time a Bears team led the NFL in turnover ratio was 85, and we know about that 85 Bears team. And I like when we talk to these players about it. They said that was great, no disrespect, but we want to create our own identity.
You respect the tradition, you respect the history of this organization, but you want to create your own path. And these guys will even go back to last season's defense, a top 10 defense, before Khalil Mack, before Roquan Smith, and say we were good. Now we're getting better and better.
Rodgers 0 for 4 in the 4th quarter here. He's been sacked twice. Down now 10, and dumps it off to Graham. We can't mention the 85 Bears without thinking of Mike Ditka and wish him well in his recovery. He had a health scare. I know he's watching and excited for this Bears team and the way they get to the quarterback.
Yeah, that's one of the things that was a cornerstone of that 85 team, the amount of pressure that they could put on the quarterback. And you see that same talent here in this front of the Bears in 2018.
Williams turns around and hauls in the pass. Leonard Floyd hangs on to him. He stays in bounds. Just over 6 minutes to play. All 3 timeouts for the Packers, but trailing now by 2 scores. Rodgers, catch made by Davante Adams. If he'd have slipped that tackle, it'd have been toward the end zone. Brought down at the 32. Prince Amukamara may have saved a touchdown.
Yeah, and good hustle by Prince Amukamara to trail this. He's off, he's playing soft coverage, but he's the guy that gets the foot and trips him up as he's about ready to separate.
Packers have not turned it over today. And Davante Adams' 6th catch, over 90 receiving yards.
Ready, go! Ready, go!
Rodgers sideline, and the catch made by Jake Kumerow from Wisconsin Whitewater, and kind of a Colt here is having a great training camp preseason. Had a touchdown and jumped into the end zone to celebrate. Hurt his shoulder, and it was a late add to this roster. Doesn't matter who he's throwing to when Rodgers goes up against the Bears. It's trouble for Chicago.
Ready, go.
Williams inside the 25.
We talk about him as a pass rusher, but Khalil Mack is really a complete defensive end. And there he is right there, squeezing down on the run. You'll see him chasing plays all over the field. So much more than just a pass rusher for this Bears front.
On 3rd and 2, Rodgers open. Randall Cobb hit hard, but makes the catch inside the 10. Eddie Jackson, and a flag down after Jackson delivered the blow.
After discussion, on the field, there's no foul on the play. The contact was shoulder to shoulder.
Great job by John Hussey and his crew. That's exactly right. This is a good hit. There's Randall Cobb, 18 in the slot. He's going to bend out, now go vertical, and watch the big collision right here. Eddie Jackson, that is definitely shoulder to shoulder. Nice job by John Hussey and his crew.
There was no helmet to helmet. Rodgers now adding to that NFL record 400 consecutive passes without an interception. And that was a big one on 1st and goal. Looking for another. Pressure coming. And throws it through the end zone.
It's amazing how he can extend and prolong it and then still be able to get the ball in a situation where it's not going to be a negative play.
Well, Philbin, his former coordinator and now interim head coach, said, you know, he can get you out of bad plays. Rodgers has an active mind, and it's active all the time out there. Rodgers well protected, and he has to get rid of it in the area of Kumerow. Isaiah Irving had the heat on Rodgers, eventually knocking him to the natural grass here.
Vic Fangio electing to play coverage on that snap, just rushing 3 guys, dropping 8 players into coverage. See if he changes his style here on 3rd and goal.
Davante Adams, top of your screen. Rodgers, end zone throw, and it's intercepted. And it's Eddie Jackson who said it's personal after week 1, giving up the winning touchdown against Rodgers. Revenge was on his mind. He said we had something special planned for him, and the interception string comes to an end for Aaron Rodgers as we have an injured player who is Eddie Jackson.
Well, it's a deflection. He crosses the face. He's right there. He just got to make the catch. It's on the back shoulder a little bit, but a deflection.
Jimmy Graham couldn't hold the throw.
He had a couple last week that were deflected and another one this week that ends the streak.
402 NFL record, but that turn right there is where Eddie Jackson was in pain. Good defensive play back there by Roquan Smith, the rookie. And then the Bear defense was backed up. They came through, and Green Bay's going to use a timeout here. And a timeout. Green Bay will have 2 remaining. And certainly hope that Jackson is okay as he was helped over to the Bears bench.
Yeah, and just kind of the leader of that group on the back end has had an outstanding year. We talked about it earlier. You could see that right ankle kind of get tucked as looked like he was just trying to get down and get on the ground.
He's hurting, but it was the play that may have sealed this division for the Bears. 26th interception for this Bears team. And they're 35th.
Full start. Offense, number 84. Half the distance to the goal. Second down.
35th takeaway. That leads the NFL along with the 26 interceptions. When Rodgers was in striking position, that was key, obviously, because even if they didn't get the touchdown, you could have settled for the field goal, and then still been down just 1 score. But the takeaway, it makes all the difference. And the Bears will try to get Green Bay to burn their timeouts as Howard carries after the penalty. And Green Bay will have 1 timeout remaining after calling another one here.
Just the speed that defense has, the ability to get deflections on footballs, and when you get bodies to the ball, it just gives you an opportunity to generate turnovers.
Well, we saw what they did to the Rams. You saw what Dallas did to the Saints, and those isolated examples in this offensive league where a defense can come up big. And as Rodgers looks over the play, you wonder where this defense can take this Bears team in the playoffs.
You always hear that defense travels too, right? It's with conditions and different things that go on. Good special teams. I thought, right now the Bears have had one of the better days on special teams as well.
Jordan Howard gets up to the 12-yard line. Timeout again, and Green Bay will be out of timeouts. Of course, they will still have the 2-minute warning. Laura?
I just want to say one of the things Matt Nagy has told us all year is one of the biggest things he wanted to do here was make Soldier Field feared again. And I'm going to do this report as a reporter and as a Chicago girl because I've been in this stadium when it has been rocking over decades, and it has lost that over the years. Not today. The electricity he has been looking for has been all over this field, all over this stadium. It has felt like old Soldier Field again.
It was the biggest game here in 5 years in late December football. Bears being at home. This crowd showed up big. Josh Jackson is back to receive the punt. Green Bay will be out of timeouts, but as he muffs that going out of bounds. Well, the Bears, from the bottom of the division to the top of the division, you talk about great defense, a second-year quarterback, a first-year head coach, general manager Ryan Pace making the trade for Khalil Mack, and obviously hiring the right guy, an offensive-minded guy in a city and a franchise known for great defense over the years.
Yeah, but they've got great defense. They're going to continue to build that offense, but I want to go back to what Laura's touching on, getting that home field advantage and how important that was to Matt Nagy. When you're starting out, you have to protect your home games. That's the most important thing as you're starting to turn that franchise around. And to hear Matt Nagy say that when he came here as the visiting coach, it wasn't intimidating anymore. So that was something that he wanted to fix right away. I thought a great gesture on his part. The signature win that you talked about at the very top of the broadcast against the Rams. He gives the game ball to the fans and the community. To bring them, make them feel a part of it, let them know how important they are.
They set it up at Soldier Field so that the ball could be, fans when they came in could take a picture with the ball, and Nagy's still coaching here as now Deion Bush comes in for Eddie Jackson, who had to go to the locker room. That would be a tremendous loss for the Bears going forward if the injury is serious. And Rodgers Davante Adams can't hold on, and that's ruled incomplete. Well, more than any home field advantage is this Bears defense. And Green Bay winless this year on the road. And unless they rally and Rodgers has some kind of early Christmas miracle, that's going to continue with Minnesota leading 34-17. And if the Packers lose, they will officially be eliminated from the playoffs.
Hey, let's trade. Hey, go.
But still, over 2.5 minutes to go.
There you go.
Flag down and incomplete. St. Brown was open. We'll check the flag.
It's holding.
Holding. Offense. Number 78. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
And Carissa has a game break.
Thanks, Chris. Vikings fans don't want to see, well, they want to see this. Packers fans don't want to see it. Kirk Cousins finds Aldrick Robinson down the field for this 40-yard score. Vikings 6th seed in the NFC. Current score 34-17. Chris?
All right, thank you. And the Vikings will be playing the Lions next Sunday. You'll see that on Fox. Everybody will be watching to see if they can hang on to that 6th playoff spot in the NFC. Rodgers dumps it off to Jamal Williams. He's tackled right away. Bears currently the 3rd seed. And that 6th spot, the Vikings, you don't control your own destiny, but because destiny can't be controlled, but you can control your path, and the Vikings are in that position. But look how these teams have kind of cratered, a lot of these teams that are still in position for that last spot, including the Packers.
Where do you go?
Although fading fast here at Soldier Field. Rodgers out of it. Completes. Marquez Valdez-Scantling short of the first down. We've reached the 2-minute warning. The Bears closer to their first division since 2010. Randall Cobb is out with a concussion. 4th and 6. Bears are closer and their fans are feeling it.
Where do you go? Where do you go?
Rodgers gets away, completes. Davante Adams, first down at the 31-32 of Chicago. Fighting to the finish, it's what you expect with Rodgers and these two teams.
Oh, I mean, just a little slide step, and I mean, Leonard Floyd goes right past him, just avoids that sack, and a big play down the field.
Where do you go?
Adams steps out of bounds again without your leading rusher Aaron Jones the most of the game here, now without Randall Cobb. And right side of your offensive line adjusted because of injury against one of the best defenses you're going to see all year. State Farm post game is coming up. They'll update all the scores, see all the highlights, get the latest on the playoff picture. Vikings winning big 41-17. The Lions are now trailing by a point in Buffalo. And the Bears are closer to a division title. Graham has a first down falling inside the 20. No timeouts. Packers needing 2 scores. And again, Deion Bush playing in the secondary for Eddie Jackson, who had the interception and then was helped to the sideline. Players collapsing around him. Rodgers will run and slide around the 7-yard line. Check that spot, see if it's good enough, and it is. First down. And we welcome in a new audience with Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers, Laura Oakman, Mike Pereira watching back in Los Angeles. Glad you're watching.
Where do you go?
No timeouts, under 30. First and goal, Rodgers. End zone throw is incomplete for Adams. Coverage was good.
Coverage was excellent, and that's just such an extended period of time. A tough position to put that secondary in, but there was really nowhere to go with the football for Aaron Rodgers. They just pass those off right there, pick them up on the routes.
Bears led throughout the first half. Packers battled back into a second half tie. Threatening until an interception moments ago. Flag down. And Rodgers is thrown down. Leonard Floyd.
Illegal shift, offense, 2 men moving and never got set. That penalty will be declined.
Fifth sack of the game. Rodgers, who looked like he was ailing after a Hail Mary throw at the end of the first half, beat up a little bit more. Crosby coming out to try a field goal to make it a 1-score game, and then try an onside kick even though it's only third down. He's made from 41 and 43. This will be a 45-yard attempt. Crosby hits. 11 seconds, and now it'll be up to Crosby and the Packers to convert on an onside kick with just 11 seconds remaining. Bears awaiting the onside kick, hoping to finish their home regular season record at 7-1 for the first time since 2005, and a division title is theirs if they hang on, as Crosby, no timeouts for Green Bay, will try less than 10% as a flag goes down, and Allen Robinson has the kick. Less than 10% chance of onside kicks. We have a Packer injured as well at the 40.
Offside, kicking team, number 37. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced from the succeeding spot. Chicago's ball, first down. Also, will the game clock operator please take a second off? Set the game clock to 10 seconds, please.
A smile from first-year head coach Matt Nagy, leading the Bears from bottom of the division to the top with his 10th win. It's the most by a Bears first-year head coach since George Halas in 1920. And it's the Bears' 11th division title in the Super Bowl era. Last was in 2010 with his second-year quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. And his bear-like defense, they put an end to the reign that Rodgers had on Chicago.
What's up?
And the 2018 Bears win the division, and they're going to the playoffs.
Well, this is going to be a team to watch when you get into the playoffs. We talked about getting off that 1 seed. Dallas is losing right now. That kind of keeps them off Seattle. I'm interested to see how Chicago does. Better special teams today, so they've got all 3 phases working.
What a turnaround for the Bears, and the monsters of the Midway are back. Nagy, Trubisky, and this defense, the NFC North champs. They reign in Chicago as they defeat the Packers here today.